Hey, everybody, welcome once again to the Football Fandemic. This is a big week. So much to talk about. We have playoffs set. We have coaches fired. We have teams in need of coaches. We have games to review, games to look forward to. It's so much here on the Football Fandemic. Man, Josh, this is an exciting time of year right here. I know that we have kickoff weekend, the first game of the year is always exciting. I know when we get to Super Bowl, that's exciting. When we have draft time, that's exciting. But boy, this one, there's so much going on here because this is when you have all the coaches being fired. You have all the teams deciding, what coaches they're going to go after. You have playoffs set because we just had like a crazy week 18, which is great. We get to review and we get to look forward to the playoffs, matchups. We get to make predictions. It's going to be a good day. And it's me and Josh Haupt here doing it all. Brandon had to take over for his boss for something. Boss went to a convention. Brandon's boss, if you're listening, getting tired of it, buddy. Getting tired of it. We need Brandon here on the show. I know he has a job. Whatever. So do I. Anyway, we are going to get into some stuff here. I gotta grab up my script first of all to see what is even big in the world of news here this week because there's a lot of it. This news is gonna stretch out a little bit because there's a lot that's happened. We're gonna start with, I guess we're gonna look at some of the coach firings to start off.
All that was there.
So we've got 8 teams now without a head coach. Is that right?
A fourth of the league. Yep.
Fourth of the league. We have 7 of them listed okay. Let's just talk about some of this.
Right,
all right. So
because
Falcons,
some of them got fired mid-season. So 6 of them got
some
fired
we've
after.
already talked about, but Falcons fired Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith, you're out. You're out. And
I was surprised by this one a little bit, honestly. I mean, they went 7-10 all 3 years, got the same pick every year, but they've never had a legit quarterback any year. So I feel like if Arthur Smith gets a real quarterback, then they might be, because they have a good defense. The Falcons do. And I believe if they get a good quarterback at some point, they might be. And that Desmond Ridder experience was a no-go. I feel like if they get a good quarterback, then they might have a chance at doing something with Arthur Smith. But they didn't want to chance it.
It's kind of like Washington, right? Mm-hmm. Which let's just go ahead to number 2. The Commanders fire who? Ron Rivera out. Josh has been waiting for this day. He was so excited. Yeah. He knew it was coming. And this is a similar sort of team in that you had a defense, right? And your quarterback, I mean, you felt like you had a quarterback, but a lot of people in the world would say they didn't really have a quarterback, much like you just said of Desmond. Right? Yeah.
I also felt like we had a defense, and neither of them showed up. I don't know what the actual stats are. I'll look at that real quick. Because PFF does give the analytics. I'm not sure if it's at the end of the Super Bowl, the actual season, or the regular season. But
granted, you lost more games in Atlanta, so you didn't have as good a record. But I wasn't surprised by either of these firings, to be honest.
So you said we have a defense. Listen to these stats, all right? We were 4 for 13, 25th of 32 in points for. So basically 25th in offense, 32 of 32, the worst defense ever in the league. 518 points given up. Yeah, so
I meant before you traded Montez Sweat and what's his face, Chase Young.
I mean, Montez Sweat made more of an impact. I don't think Chase Young has done much of anything in San Francisco.
What was Atlanta's defense rankings? While you're looking stuff up, I mean, let's just get a true feel for what they had because I don't remember feeling like their defense was lights out, but I do remember feeling like they were good.
It's got to be better than the Commanders. I'm just trying to find
hard not to.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh, that's the franchise. I'm like, what is that? I forgot to put 2023. That's why. 2023 Falcons roster. 18th of 32. So about average. And points at least. And their offense was 26 of 32. So just a little bit better than the Commanders, but the defense was about average, 18th of 32.
Yeah, not great. I mean, it's worse than over half the league. So
yeah, by a little bit, but yeah. You want to hear the Colts?
Yeah. Ooh. I bet the Colts were about Number 5.
10th of 32. So top 10 in the league in points for. And then defense was just as bad as the Commanders. Points against is 415 at 28th of 32.
There you go. Not good.
So Gus Bradley might be also on his way out soon.
Yeah, a lot of people are thinking now. Shane Steichen, I'm sorry, this isn't part of our normal news, but since I follow the Colts, Shane Steichen was asked about Gus Bradley, and he said, "I like continuity. I think Gus did a great job," and that was all he said. But that could be like, I like Gus Bradley, but the rest of the organization is like, I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, Gus Bradley out and Wink Martindale in." I know you've heard of Wink Martindale also.
He's a good goalie.
But we'll see. I have no idea what's going to happen with our defensive coordinator. I could see them keeping Gus Bradley because, I mean, they did have some suspensions and some injuries that kept them from having their best players out there, but still you got to do good with who you have. And so I could see him letting him go. At the same time, he was like from the former regime. They could decide. But the hard part is when you have players who are just getting used to a defensive mindset and system, and then you switch it on them. So hopefully it would be something that would make it better. But anyway, so we've had the Falcons fire Arthur Smith. That happened. Commanders fired Ron Rivera. We just mentioned the Giants got rid of Wink Martindale decided to resign from the Giants. The Giants were trying to hold on to him. He said, "I'm out." He was upset with them. Titans. Now, here's the one. This is the one that everybody's talking about. This was the biggest surprise to me. Now, there are some big names out we're going to talk about after this. One of those was a big surprise for me also. But Titans fire Mike Vrabel. Not let go. I mean, not mutually part ways. They fired Mike Vrabel. That's so surprising to me because he's a good coach, one. That organization, I watched again over and over that video of the draft room where he's sitting there when they make the the announcement that they just traded A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles, and he gets up and walks away from the camera and just his head's shaking, and then he turns around and walks back and sits down and doesn't say anything. And you could tell from that point on that there was some difference in the organization thoughts and his thoughts. And I think that all came to a boil. And what was it? Amy Trask said, "Oh, we just felt like it's time for a new coaching, mindset, a fresh coaching mindset." Well, I don't think they're going to do better than Mike Vrabel. And as soon as he was fired, everybody and their brother was like, "Oh, where's he going to go?" Now, we know, I'm just going to go ahead and say this, even though this is the last one on our list because it just happened today, but Patriots and Bill Belichick parted ways. And boy, are Patriots fans going nuts now about Mike Vrabel coming back, their Ring of Honor Super Bowl winning player who has proven to be the best from the Bill Belichick coaching tree once he gets out on his own. Boy, they're salivating. A lot of Patriots fans wanting him back. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Robert Kraft also shared those kind of sentiments. And Mike Vrabel is not a bad coach. As a matter of fact, he's a really good coach. I could see him going to the Patriots. We're just going to leave that on the shelf for now because will he want to go to the Patriots? Yeah, there's a lot of homecoming, but man. And now they do have the number 3 overall pick, don't they?
Patriots? Yeah.
So they could get a quarter. I was going to say they don't have a quarterback. Why would you want to go there? But they could get whatever quarterback he wants, pretty much. Because who's in number 1? Chicago. They'll probably take a quarterback. I'm just going to put that out there. They're probably going to see if they can get rid of Justin Fields. But that leaves one of the other ones open because number 2 is you guys. Mm-hmm. So you're probably going to take a quarterback. So it depends on if Mike Vrabel feels like he would be okay with a third quarterback off the board. So anyway, that's all for another talk. That's for the draft talk coming up. But Titans fired Mike Vrabel. Here was the veteran, the veteran coach that surprised me.
Yeah, this one was more surprising than Belichick because I feel like a lot of us.
Oh, than Belichick, but I was talking about Vrabel was my surprise.
Oh no, my surprise is, which we'll talk about right now, is Pete Carroll because I felt like he secured his job, like going 9-8, barely missing the playoffs, a couple injuries, whatnot. I felt like he's that that Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Bill Belichick type of level where if he would and he has to do very bad for a length of time, like Bill Belichick did for the last 3 or 4 years without Tom Brady, to be fired. And there's not a single way in my mind where I would have thought that Pete Carroll, after a 9-8 season, barely missing the playoffs with a couple, injuries and whatnot, would be pushed out.
Winningest coach in the franchise, right?
This was more surprising than Bill Belichick to me because I felt in my mind we've heard rumors of Bill Belichick maybe parting even back when the Colts played them in England like week 8 or whatever. We heard rumors of this. We've never heard a single rumor about
Belichick
Pete
was
Carroll.
not a surprise to me or to anyone, I think.
Vrabel
was a surprise. Vrabel was a surprise.
Vrabel was a surprise, and Pete Carroll was the biggest surprise to me because we've never heard a rumor of Pete Carroll except for him maybe talking about maybe retiring for a bit. But he even said a couple of days ago he wanted to come back, and then maybe that was coming back in an advisor role, which he is now an advisor, not a coach anymore.
He is now, but he also made it known that he would love to coach, and so I could see him still moving somewhere if the right offer came along. But here's what's interesting to me. What was their coordinator who went down to Texas? Dan Quinn went down to Dallas.
Yeah. From
Dan Quinn could be somebody that they would be like, hey, could we interview you for a head coaching job? And now, they're still kind of in the midst of the whole playoff run and stuff. But I could see Dan Quinn. Is it Dan Quinn? Why am I?
Dan Quinn.
Yeah, I could see them maybe talking to him. I mean, we're going to see how this all shakes out. But that was a huge surprise. Pete Carroll.
Go back to the Commanders for a bit because I follow the Commanders, so I know what's going on with them. So they are not only trying to hire a head coach, a defensive coordinator, and maybe an offensive coordinator, depends on what the new regime does. But they are also looking.
Bieniemy's out.
I do too. At some point,
I think he's out.
They are also looking for a new senior of football operations, slash GM basically, because Ron Rivera was GM slash coach, and so they're interviewing their interview list, and they are they've basically Josh Harris said he's going to do this quote unquote thoroughly and rapidly, and that's what he's done. He's interviewed pretty much everybody he's wanted to interview, and Bill Belichick is not one of them. Because I guess he was just released, but there was rumors that he might go to Washington. But he's interviewed everybody he wanted to first round, and he's conducting I guess looking at second round interviews. But he's done this amazingly. Josh Harris has. He hired. I can't remember what exactly his name was. I think it was Jim Myers or something like that. But the guy that built the Golden State Warriors, they hired him and somebody else, a former GM. I just can't remember his name, but he was a GM for the Vikings. He was GM for a couple other teams in the Titans of the early 2000s, I believe, and then the Vikings where they drafted Adrian Peterson and all these other guys up until 2021. And he's hired both of these guys, the Vikings guy, the Vikings former GM, and I think Josh Myers or something like that, as an advisor to help him find the right head coach. And so he's doing this at a superb level, than a bigger level, I guess, than Dan Snyder would have done. He'd be like, all right, that's my guy, and just leave it at that. But so he's interviewed so far. I believe the Commanders have interviewed Ben Johnson of the Eagles, or not the Eagles, the Lions.
Right.
Bobby Slowick is also on their list from the Texans offensive coordinator, who's also interviewing with the Titans for their head coach position. Mike McDonald of the Ravens defensive coordinator, and then a couple other guys who is they have betting odds, but I don't know who else they've interviewed. I'm trying to find that out. But basically, they are interviewing with Adam Peters of the 49ers for their player personnel operations, and then Ian Cunningham of the assistant GM for the Bears, for their player personnel operations. So they seem to be doing everything right with this organization. The Commanders have so far with this organization since Josh Harris took over, and I'm really excited for the future.
Yeah. In just a moment, I'm going to play a little game with you called "Where Do We Think This Coach Will Go?" Or we'll get to that.
Are we going to only include the coaches that were fired, or are we including Bill Belichick or the defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators?
We're going to talk about it all. The Bears fire everybody on offense, but Eberflus kept his job. Head coach, my brother-in-law just told me, I think Eberflus will be here next year, and I totally didn't agree with him, but he was right. The Bears kept Matt Eberflus, and they fired Luke Getsy, right? The guy from the Packers that everybody was so excited about, who ended up being pretty bad, and everybody else on offense gone. And so there's going to be interesting to watch and see how that builds. And then we have already mentioned that the Patriots and Bill Belichick part ways, right? It was a mutually parts ways, wasn't a fired sort of thing. So, and then add to that, Josh McDaniels from the Raiders was gone. Chargers, what's his face?
Brandon
Staley gone. Who else was fired midseason? Anybody?
McDaniels. Oh, you already mentioned him.
I already mentioned him. Was it just
I don't
two?
know. I don't know. Yeah, I believe so.
That doesn't seem right, man. It seems like there was somebody else. We may come up with it in a bit. But anyway, we have 8 coaching vacancies, I believe. Let's just talk
Well,
about.
look at this: Falcons, Commanders,
Here, let me write these down so I can
Titans,
remember. We got
Seahawks,
Falcons.
and so that we have
Commanders.
one more head coaching vacancy because the Bill Belichick, Titans, or Patriots, Titans, Seahawks, Commanders, and Falcons are the 5, and then we have the Chargers and Raiders as the 7. So we have one more that I'm trying to think of. Oh, Frank Reich.
Yep, Panthers. All right, so Falcons, Commanders, Raiders, Titans, Seahawks, Chargers, Panthers, and Patriots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are our 8 vacancies. Let's play. Who do you think will go there, or who's more likely to go there? What's your odds-on favorite to go there? Let's talk about Falcons. Now, we're probably not going to get this all right because we don't even know all the people that some of these GMs and owners are going to interview.
What we're thinking about this, thinking about our answers or whatnot. SN Elite came back and he said, "There goes my Jags, out of the playoffs." Kind of like,
oh yeah, that was surprising me. I'm going to tell you something. SN Elite. I'm a Colts fan, and we played Saturday night. And it was that horrible 4th and 1 little pass that dropped that ended our season even abruptly for us. I thought when they missed that point after that we were going to go down the field, get a touchdown, kick the point after, and win by 1 point. I really, in my heart, believed it. And when that pass happened, I was like, first of all, I'm like, why wasn't Jonathan Taylor in there to either run it or catch it, whichever,
Yeah.
And they have their reasons, and he was open. Didn't happen, whatever reason. But I was so heartbroken that I didn't watch any, and this is sad to say for a host of a football podcast, I didn't watch any games on Sunday. I couldn't do it. I was like, I got to be out for a bit. And so I did not even know until Monday that the Jags lost and that the Houston Texans won the AFC South. And I was heartbroken because I felt like we could have beat the Houston Texans pretty easily, but we didn't. And, that would have given us the AFC South. And then I was pretty heartbroken for you and thinking it's just so crazy, not only that the Jags didn't win the AFC South, but then they went completely out of the playoffs. And if you would have told me that was going to happen like a few weeks ago, I would have been amazingly surprised. Jonathan Taylor. He said Jonathan Taylor was amazing Saturday nights. 188. What do he have? 188, 189, something like that.
Yeah, almost 200.
Yeah, why not? If he had a hot hand, why not have him in that game? Now, I know he had a couple injuries and he was like, back in there. And maybe Shane Steichen has his reasons. It's going to be a big year next year if we can get Anthony Richardson back and Jonathan Taylor's under contract and healthy and all like that. But to say I was surprised that neither the Colts nor the Jags were in the playoffs, like even in the playoffs, I don't think I would have been more surprised had you told me anything else, to think the Houston Texans would have been the only ones from the AFC South in. So I know CJ Stroud had a great year, and he's going to be good for them for years to come. And D'Amico Ryans was the right coaching choice for that organization. He has done wonders with the Texans. But I do think it's going to be stiff competition with 3 of the AFC South teams next year. Unfortunately, the Titans are not one of those because I think they're going to have. What's that?
They said maybe we don't know who their head coach is. They could become. They could get that D'Amico Ryans.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think that organization is in enough disarray. Just the fact that they let Mike Vrabel go, and anyway, yeah, I think that's going to be the bottom of the AFC South. We'll see, but anyway, okay. So here we go. Back to our coaching thing. Let's just start at the top of my little list here, and these are in no particular order because I just wrote them down as I was thinking about them.
Falcons asked exactly what we're going to do. What is with Bill Belichick gone? Who do the Pats hire? But does Bill call it quits or sign with another team? We're going to answer that question right now. So stay tuned.
That's right. Well, let's just start with them. Let's just start there since that's the question that was first brought up here. I think I think Vrabel would very much look at that. I think, first of all, I think the fan base is all about
All in,
Vrabel. I've heard
all in
so many Patriots fans just like getting pumped, getting pumped about the fact that Bill Belichick decided to step down and Mike Vrabel was available at the same time. So I think Vrabel, our odds-on favorite to go to New England, particularly because he has the 3rd overall pick in the draft. I think if he didn't have that, you'd be looking at that team and thinking, I don't know, Mac Jones. and here's the thing. I wouldn't even put it past them to not draft a quarterback at number 3.
Yeah.
You want to hear something crazy?
I would draft a quarterback. Drake
I think they could draft Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 3 and go get somebody like a Russ Wilson or a Kyler Murray, perhaps, or a Justin Fields, and do it that way. Because I've seen the Patriots do that sort of thing where they'll take a veteran quarterback from another team and like get a great weapon. Now, I don't know which of those they would maybe go with, but they also could draft a quarterback. So I think that's who comes into the Patriots. Now, Bill Belichick, let's talk about him.
My opinion is, I agree with you. Mike Vrabel is going to probably be the top candidate, but I do have a belief based off reports and rumors that Gerard Mayo, the linebacker coach, I believe for the Patriots right now, for another former Patriot, another former loved Patriot, just like Mike Vrabel, probably will get, I believe, if not in his Ring of Honor, will get into the Ring of Honor for the Patriots at some point. He is another top candidate for the Patriots, and I believe he has a very good shot at it. I think it's between those two guys for me, though.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but here's the thing. Mike Vrabel is proven, and he went to the AFC Championship game, and he is in the Ring of Honor and beloved by that organization. You don't know what a coach is going to be, and so I can see him like drafting him and keeping the other dude there as their whatever you said he was. So anyway, Bill Belichick. Theories on where Bill Belichick goes. I have a theory.
I do too.
Well, let's hear yours first.
I think he goes to the Chargers.
That's exactly what I think. I've heard him really highly linked with the Falcons, but if you had a choice between the Chargers and the Falcons, why would you choose the Falcons? I know you just talked about their defense, but it's number 18 in the league.
He can improve that. He can improve that.
The one thing that I feel like the Chargers have
is a quarterback.
Is a franchise quarterback. And yeah, they've had some troubles and they've had some injuries, but they have a lot of stuff to work with, and they have a franchise quarterback.
And to answer the second part of his question, is he going to call it quits? I don't believe so, like we just stated, but I don't believe so for the reason because I believe there is some sort of incentive in his mind or some sort of motivation in Bill Belichick's mind that he wants to pass. He wants to pass
15 wins.
What is? Oh yeah, he needs to pass Don Shula. I thought that was 15 Super Bowls. I'm like that. Not gonna happen.
15 wins. I'm sorry, I didn't have enough hands there.
Yeah, but I believe he has some sort of incentive or motivation to get past Don Shula as all-time winning coach. That's probably what if he does it in 2 years with the Chargers or wherever he goes, he retires after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. And I get the feeling from hearing reports that he is not feeling like hanging it up and retiring. So I fully expect to see him with the Chargers. And the Chargers are an organization. So here's another thing. So like you talk about, the Commanders have not yet interviewed him. Could still happen. I don't believe they will. But here's the thing. I think Josh Smith is the kind of owner who is looking at young, new, fresh impact, like we were talking with the D'Amico Ryans, whatever. The Chargers organization, on the other hand, I feel like they tried with Staley to try something like that. And I feel like at this point they could say, you know what, let's go with somebody who's proven and get a good offensive mind in here for offensive coordinator, because Bill Belichick's a defensive guy.
We were just talking about Bill Belichick. And according to DraftKings Sportsbook, their odds for Bill Belichick's landing spots: Falcons 150 plus 150, not a head coach in the NFL, 175 plus or plus 175, Chargers 400 plus, the Commanders 500 plus, any other NFL team 800 plus, and then Titans 800 plus.
I disagree. I've heard a lot of the Falcons, but if I were Bill Belichick,
I'd choose LA.
And maybe it has to do with Chargers and Falcons and their thinking and who they think would reach out to him. But if I had the choice, I'd probably pick the Chargers because Desmond is not your guy. What's their draft top draft pick?
8.
Atlanta. What
8.
was it?
8.
8.
8 or
we keep talking at the same time. 8. Okay,
I
so
believe so.
I don't think they're going to get another great quarterback. They're going to have to
Maybe.
figure something out because I don't think Desmond is their answer. He seems to
I don't
have
either.
said,
Let me look
I'm a
at
good backup quarterback."
let me look at the draft order right now because there is 3 quarterbacks who probably go first round. Of course, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and then Jaden Daniels. So Jaden Daniels, I'm looking at 2020. I need to look at 2024. Sorry. So right now it is Panthers or Bears via Panthers, Commanders, Patriots, Cardinals, Chargers. Only team I see drafting a quarterback for me personally in this draft, right, or in this top 5 right now, is Commanders and Patriots, and then Giants. Maybe they draft a quarterback. Titans, I don't believe so. They got Will Levis, and then Falcons. Which if the Giants don't take whoever is available, so if the Commanders take Caleb Williams, then the New Patriots take Drake May. If the Giants don't take Jaden Daniels or whatever his name is, I believe the Falcons take him at 8.
I still think the Bears may see if they can move Justin Fields and take Caleb Williams.
SN talking about Bill Belichick still. He asks, what if Bill Belichick goes to another team and implements the quote unquote Patriot way? How is that going to work? Because it's a completely different system he implements. That is a good question, but as every coach comes in, new coach comes in, they implement different things, new ways, new offense coordinators, new offensive schemes, new defensive schemes. I don't think this will be any different, and I don't believe it'll be the Patriot way. I just think it'll be something Bill Belichick brings along and implements. I don't believe it'll be the Patriot way, like a carbon copy, but I believe it'll be some sort of similarity because as you've seen, Mike Shanahan has this amazing coaching tree of Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, and all these guys under his tree that implement the same offense he did with the Broncos in the late 90s and early 2000s. And they don't call it the Shanahan way. It's just, they call it the Shanahan coaching tree, but they all implement something new, then different than Mike Shanahan did.
I will say, though, that the Patriot way has its own reputation more than Shanahan anything.
Yeah.
And you know who else is also the Patriot way?
Tom Brady.
Josh McDaniels is the Patriot way. And Raiders did not like that. That did not work well. But you know what? What if Josh McDaniels joined Bill Belichick again in an offensive coordinator role with the Chargers or something?
Probably.
Would it work with them? I don't know. It's a different place, different players. They don't have that kind of built up. What is it? It's not stigma. It's the just that feeling in the air that the Patriot way is going to work like New England had. So yeah, that's a valid question. Will his coaching style work wherever he goes? To be seen. Hey, let's move on here. So we were talking about the Commanders. Commanders are gone with Ron Rivera. Do you see anybody in particular being like, this is somebody that might end up at the Commanders? I don't even know because I don't know this Josh Harris, his mindset and the people he's got helping him hire a coach. My guess, they're going to look for the next new big thing. And so I would see someone like the Lions coordinator, somebody like that, if they can get him.
What I believe is going to happen is why he's interviewing. Well, he's interviewing coaches and player personnel operation coordinators, or whatchamacallits too. But I believe is they're going to hire a GM/player personnel operator, whatever you want to call it, first, and then they're gonna let that guy decide the head coach, or Josh Harris is, and Josh Harris might have like a little bit of a say in it, but majority of the say will go to the player personnel guy or the GM. I believe that's what's going to happen, and that might be a negative thing because then a lot of the coaches might be gone by that point, But if I were in my mind, my top 3 candidates based off looking at it is Ben Johnson, not in order, of course. Ben Johnson of Lions, Mike McDonald of the Ravens, and then can't remember his first name. I think it's Kenny or Benny. Ben Slowick of the Texans is my top 3 that I want. And although we need an offensive guy to implement to either A, build around Sam Howell, or B, develop the new quarterback we draft, but the defensive guy in Mike McDonald of the Ravens, defense coordinator, is also a very, very talented, very worthy person to be a head coach, and can also implement that whole system of Matt Eberflus is doing, calling the defensive plays and just sign a defensive coordinator and revamp that defense that we had in the 2020s or the 2019-2020 year.
Ben Johnson, is he defensive?
Offensive.
That's what I thought. He's offensive.
So my mind is 2 offense and 1 defense is my top 3.
So Yeah, I agree. But here's the beauty of what Josh Harris is doing is he has hit it fast in getting this like
Fast and rapid,
GM thing.
early and rapid.
Right. So
Said.
he could be still at the beginning of those, coaching hires. Hopefully. Hopefully. Uh Raiders.
I think they keep Antonio Pierce. I do.
Yeah. That 5-4 interim.
That. As much as there is a Patriot way, there's also a Raider way that nobody ever talks about. Like how like they're all down and dirty and they're all, you know what I mean? That is Antonio Pierce to me. That is not only a player coach like he is, but he's also like he can get down and dirty if he wants to, and that's what speaks to me as of Antonio Pierce. And I believe he's the perfect fit for that coach.
I believe Atlanta requested to interview him, right?
I believe the Titans did. I think I don't know. Sure, I'm not
Titans. That might be it. Titans. You're right. Yeah, I knew it was a team. I couldn't remember. So, yeah, I could see that. I don't know who else I would see going to the Raiders because, I mean, you have some pieces. You have Devontae Adams. You have some other pieces there. Josh Jacobs was like a 1-year deal. We don't even know if he's going to be there. So, not sure what person would, what it would be that would draw somebody there except to be the head coach of the Raiders. But he's already there. He loves it. The players love him. Seems to be doing well. I mean, it's not like he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
he did have a winning record.
He's better than Josh McDaniels, dude.
He is better than Josh McDaniels. How about the Titans?
I think they need an offensive guy to develop Will Levis farther, and then just let the defensive coordinator take over the defensive operations in some operation.
They're most likely done with Henry too.
Yeah, and Tannehill.
Henry gone. So,
dude, speaking of that, did you see what Tannehill's press conference was?
No.
I don't know. Basically, he was going through and talking. I don't know exactly what he said, but like what the press conference's context was. But I believe at the end of it, he was like, "Oh, I think it was about DeAndre Hopkins getting him like a certain catch or something like that for incentives or whatever, the bonus or whatever." And at the end of it, he was like, I don't know what they asked, but basically he was saying, well, I'm not going to be here, so it doesn't matter. Like, they're not going to re-sign his contract, dude. I have to find it. I just can't find it. But
yeah, I believe you, and I believe he would say that because I think it's pretty well known. Once he was benched for Will Levis, he's not coming back. It's over there. So I think Will Levis. I think they've said we're going with Will Levis and we're going with a new coach. That was probably part of it with Mike Vrabel. I bet he wasn't like a huge Will Levis fan. He probably liked his Ryan Tannehill. But yeah, it's going to be a very different looking beast there with Will Levis on your offense, but no Henry as your running back. And you have to figure out what exactly your identity is going to be. So I don't know. I have really no clue who's going to end up with the Titans. I don't even have like a feeling of, oh, this is somebody who might end up at the Titans, because right now, which coaching candidate that's really good is going to say, you know what, Mike Vrabel was just let go and all he did was like good stuff there. And yeah, they didn't have great these last couple seasons, but I mean, it's all the Titans trading away their playmakers and not setting them into a position for success. What coach is going to want that, who has his choice everywhere? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, obviously they will find a coach, but yeah, I wouldn't be the one who wanted to go there. Let's look at the Seahawks. I already said who I thought it was going to be.
It's so new. Like that coach, that thing is, that position or whatever is open, so open and new. I don't even know who to expect, honestly. Like, you know what I mean?
I think Quinn.
Yeah, Dan Quinn is another. Yeah, I think he comes back. Honestly, I think that's the number one choice. I shared that thing down. That thing I shared down there is not yet for ready. It's just the next segment we do.
Sure. Okay. Who's next? We got.
We did the Raiders. We did the Patriots. We did the Bears. Are not out of it. So we did the Seahawks, Titans.
We talked about the Chargers. How about the Panthers?
What about the Panthers? I think they need another thing. I think they need an offensive guy to develop Bryce Young. So Ben Johnson or Brian Johnson of the Lions and the Eagles is another good option. I don't know. I think they need an offensive guy or a very big leader. So maybe Mike Vrabel.
Here's the problem. This is probably one of the least attractive head coaching gigs. I talked about the Raiders. That's another one. I think this one might even be less attractive. Bryce Young, that did not look good in any sense last year. Their record, horrible. I mean, everything was abysmal. They got rid of their number one wide receiver. They haven't really picked anybody up in that place who stood out. Their cap situation, I think, is not good, if I remember correctly. Same with the Raiders, if I remember correctly. It's just, that's one thing that the Commanders have like a high pick, and they have the most money in the league. And they have people who are playmakers still in that team. You've got some great wide receivers there. And so it's, when I look at the Panthers, who's going to want that job? Somebody always wants to take a shot and wants to be able to prove it. But if I were like the Lions guy, I would not be like, man, let me go to the Panthers. That's where I'm going to prove who I am with no money, with this little tiny quarterback that didn't do well last year. And yes, some of that may have been on Frank Reich early, but they didn't get any better late. It's just like, what is good? When they got rid of Christian McCaffrey, when they got rid of DJ Moore, I was just like, what is going on? Now did all that stuff happen after Tepper? Did Christian McCaffrey leaving happen when David Tepper was the owner?
I don't know. I believe CMC was when he was owner, and DJ Moore was also. So if CMC was, and DJ Moore had to been because they traded him.
Yeah, he was after. I mean, it's just like
Carolina Panthers and they both were.
Yeah, and so like going to be a head coach, knowing that they have traded away some great players. I'm sure the coaches didn't want that. So already that the coaches don't really have as much say. Now, some of that may have been the GM, and he's been let go also, right? So I don't know. I wouldn't want that job, and I don't know who will go there. So I know I'm kind of waffly here for all of our listeners out there. I'm sorry I didn't have a good answer for the Raiders. I don't have a good answer for the Panthers because and the Titans. In my mind, those are three organizations as a coach I would not want to go to. Will somebody? Yeah. Who? I don't know. We didn't say anywhere where Pete Carroll might choose to go if he went somewhere.
I don't know. I really don't. It's too hard to tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the Patriots were the last one, and we've already kind of said that was our first one. We said Mike Vrabel probably. Now, that's not a guarantee. They may want him. Does he want them? Maybe. But he also might look around at some other teams that have a lot of cap and a high pick. You think he would go to the Commanders?
Pete Carroll?
No, Mike Vrabel.
Vrabel? I don't know. I mean, there has been links to him. Like I just saw on Twitter, there has been links to him interested in Mike Vrabel, and I'd be the first one to accept that, honestly. He's a proven leader. He knows how to coach. And if you fire Eric Bieniemy and get a right offensive coordinator for the job, then you're pretty and a good defensive coordinator. Even if he's not calling the defensive plays and Mike Vrabel is, you're pretty much set because you have a really great talented room.
I don't remember who we said for the Falcons, but Eric Bieniemy is one that I would see going to the Falcons, getting a head coaching job with the Falcons, who are in an easy division. That AFC South. Of course, so are the Panthers. Yeah. But yeah. All right. Well, there's some coaching news of what happened. We're gonna review some games here a little bit, but first we're gonna talk about some prediction updates and talk about kind of how we think we did on our predictions. So what did we end up with?
We ended up another week of 8-8, and we ended up 146-26. So we had I think it was a 0.52 or 0.57 win percentage, which is not that bad, actually. I mean, not great, but, we had a winning record.
Did we beat Adam Rank?
I have not looked into that yet.
I can't believe you didn't look into that. I thought that'd be the first thing you would look at.
I've been making all these different graphics and whatnot for the next coming up content, and trying to find ideas. But so I'll look into that this coming Friday or Saturday or Monday next week.
Post it on our socials. Did we do better than Adam Rank, and how much? That. And if we didn't do as well, I guess post that too, because we need to take our lumps.
And so in correlation to our predictions, we also predict, of course, we did our every game before the season started, which we also got the overall team's record. So in this next segment, we're gonna go I'm just going to list off teams and what the record was versus what the record actually was or whatnot. Maybe the standing in the division. And we're going to see if we were right, we were wrong, or maybe right in the middle. We weren't completely wrong, but we weren't completely right. So,
Okay.
right here we have our. Oh, we got to fix the names first. 1 second. Right here. Let me zoom in real quick on this. We have the NFC. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. No, it's not. All right. There we go. All right, we have there we go. NFC side of things, we have the 49ers at 14-3, and I believe they finished at NFL, or they finished in the NFL at 13-4, and they won the division. Yeah, sorry,
We
they're
had that
12,
one right.
they're 12-5. Yeah, we had this one right. The Saints completely wrong. I'm going to say it right now, completely wrong. Had them win the division, got the 2 seed. They only got 9 wins, and they got the 2nd seed. So we were completely wrong on that one. The Eagles, 11-6, got 2nd. We were right in the middle.
I think we were right there. How many did we say they would win?
11, and we had 13-4, and winning
And
the division.
They got 11. That's only 2 wins off.
And they got 2nd in the division. I'd say right in the middle because of that division spot.
Maybe, yeah. I think we would be more wrong with the Cowboys than we were with the Eagles.
The Lions, though, exactly right. Won division, except the seeding of it. They won the division, and they were 12-5. So we were completely right on this one.
We were big on the Lions.
The Seahawks, the Seahawks. I'd say we were wrong. They went 9-8 to end the season, 9-8, missed the playoffs, 3rd in the division. I'd say we were wrong.
Yep.
Packers, 9-8, 2nd in the division, just like we have. So I'd say we were wrong.
We had them too high on the win percentage. They just happened to be in a division that was pretty horrible, and that's how they made the playoffs. Because the Lions were good. Just the conference itself, the fact that they made it. So they did make it, but we were a little off.
I'd say we were wrong just based off win percentage or winning record and playoff implications or division standings. Cowboys, we had them at 10-7, and they were at 12-5. I'd say we were right in the middle. I mean, we flip-flopped with the Eagles, but 2 wins off isn't bad.
Yeah, I'd say with both of those, they're the same amount of wrong, which is not totally. We thought both of them would do well, but we got which one was on top wrong.
Falcons at 9-8. I'd say we were right in the middle. I mean, they only got 7-7, and we only went 7-10, but we also didn't have them in the playoffs, and they're not in the playoffs, and so I'd say we're right in the middle.
Yep.
Commanders 8-9. We had them at. I had expected a bigger season. Completely wrong on that one.
Giants also.
Giants, yeah, I'd say 8-9, 6-11. I'd say we were right in the middle on this one. Honestly, we hit it.
Really?
Maybe we were wrong. Let's
look at this. Let's see. We had that whole division. We were a little off. They were still the worst in the division, but we gave them a little more than they got. Yeah.
The Vikings 7-10. They went 7-10, exactly where we predicted them.
What do you think about that, Blake Harris? Blake Faith.
Blake Faith.
Yeah, he said we were totally wrong on them, right? He said they were going to win the division. They were not even. I guess they were 3rd. Yeah.
Actually, no, they might have been last. No, they were 3rd. They tied with the
Bears.
They were 3rd. The Rams completely wrong on that. They've proven to be a really good team in the later stretch of the season. In the playoffs at the 6th seed, completely wrong on this one.
Got that one wrong.
Panthers. I'd say we were in the middle.
I think we got it right. We had them at 4-12, and they went what? 2?
2-14, 2-15. Yeah.
We had 4-12-1. They went 2-15. We had them at the bottom of that division. Yeah. That's what they got. They didn't make the playoffs. We got the number a couple off, but I think we were right. They were bad.
Bears, I'd say we were wrong on this one. They went 7-10. They proved a lot of people wrong, especially down the later stretch.
It's hard for me to feel like they were that they had 7 wins because they have the number 1 overall pick, but that was from the Panthers.
Yes,
but they have the number 9 pick with their own pick.
8 or 9, yeah.
I think it's 9.
Yeah, it's a 9.
And so I think they've got 2 in the top 10.
Mm-hmm. I'd say we were wrong on this one. Cardinals.
I'd say in the middle because we had them. Did we have them last in their?
Yeah.
division.
I'd say
and
yeah.
that's what
I
they
can
got.
I can go on in the middle on the lower side. If there was a tier ranking, I'd probably put them in last place in the middle race, so they were closer to in the wrong because
They got 3 more wins than we expected, but
we got the division
everything
right.
else ended up about
Yeah.
where we said.
Cardinals. I'd say we were pretty right on that one. 4-13.
Yep.
Buccaneers completely wrong on this one.
This was like this was probably my biggest mistake, and this was probably my influence. I was like the Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield, because at that time they were looking at Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, and they both looked horrible, and I just kept saying that. And Baker Mayfield came in and did much better than I expected. That's probably all my fault because I was like so strong on those opinions. They did much better, and they won the NFC South, which again, that's not saying a whole lot because every team had the chance to win that, just like in the AFC South almost. But they did, and they're in the playoffs, and they got more wins than 2. And yeah, we got that one wrong.
We got them completely wrong. So the biggest ones in the NFC we got wrong were the Buccaneers. Oh, I'm sorry. The Saints and maybe the Falcons and and the Bears. If I had to give a top 5, and then
so
the Rams,
3 of the 4
5.
were NFC South.
Falcons, Saints, and Buccaneers. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one we
tough
got
division
relatively
to
right were the Panthers. Yeah. Moving on to the AFC. Sorry. We had the Bills or the Bengals at 15-2. We're gonna say
this
we're wrong
was a
on that.
complete wrong.
Yeah.
And that was Joe Burrow. That was Joe Burrow injury all the way. We just thought they were going to be with Joe Burrow and everything was going to be fine, and we were wrong.
Chiefs at 14-3. I'd say we're right in the middle. They got more. We predicted them to have more wins. They kind of fell off at the end, but they got first place in the division.
I'd say that's right.
I'd say right in the middle. I'd say in the middle.
How many wins difference?
3.
I'd still say we're right. They still got the seeding. Maybe they didn't get the.
They get the exact seeding, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say we were right.
I can put them at a lower, like I said with the Bears. I can put them at a lower side of the right side, just to put them close to in the middle. Bills, we got completely right. We thought they were the win division. We put them at a 12-5. They went 11-6, so we were 1 win off. We got them completely right.
And boy, in the middle of the year, I thought we were completely wrong.
Yeah,
but yep, we ended up right.
Jaguars, I'd say right in the middle. Honestly, they got second. We were 2 wins off. They went 9-8. Sorry, we had them at 11-6. They got second in division. I'd say we were right in the middle on this one.
That one feels like it was worse than it is, though, because they were like, in my mind, they were the winners of the AFC South all through the season, and then they fell completely out of the playoffs. And so it feels worse to me than it is. So even though, I mean, we didn't get them right because we don't have them as the winners of we had them as the winners of the AFC South, right? So we didn't get it completely right. We were middle high, but it feels like I had it completely wrong because I just assumed they were winning, and then they fell out.
We can say easily the Jets we got completely wrong. We had them in our Super Bowl. So
Jets wrong.
Yep.
Wrong.
Dolphins, I'd say we were right. They went 10 we had them at 10-7. They went 11-6. Got second in the division just like we predicted. They got the 6th seed just like we predicted. We are completely right on this one except for a win off.
Yep.
Next is the Chargers, completely wrong on this one. We had them at 9-8. They went 5-12. The Browns, we were. You know what? I'm going to say we were wrong on the Browns. I mean, maybe in the middle, but we had them at 9-8 and out of the playoffs, and they went 11-6 and in the playoffs. And I feel like in my mind it is wrong because of how many quarterbacks they went through and how I thought they'd be average because they had Deshaun Watson, but the defense really proved to carry this team, and I feel like that kind of puts them in the middle for me.
Yeah, now they got Joe Flacco. We're going to see what they can do this weekend.
Yep.
In the playoffs.
Ravens,
wrong.
Yep, completely wrong. Ravens are the number 1 seed, best record in the NFL. We had them outside the playoffs. Broncos, we had them exactly right, 7-10. I mean, they got 8 wins, but out of the playoffs, 7-10. I'd say we got them right.
Yep.
Colts, I'd say we were in the middle. I mean, they proved a lot of people wrong. They were only 2 wins off. I'd say we got a little wins off. They barely missed the playoffs instead of the 11th seed, according to us. But I'd say we were in the middle.
Yeah, we unfortunately, I think we're about right. I mean, we had a few more wins than that, but really, what did that matter? Where did we end up? What we had wrong was number 14 down there, but we'll get to that one in a minute.
Wrong was 14, 16. Steeler and 12. 16 we got wrong too. We predicted this as Big Mike Tomlin's first season without a winning record or a non-negative 500 record. He proved us all wrong with a plethora of quarterbacks going through, winning the final 3, making the playoffs at 10-7. I'd say we got that one wrong.
We got it wrong. Unfortunately, they're going to be 1-out, I think, in the playoffs because of injuries. But yeah.
Patriots, we got. Can we say we got them right because we predicted more wins than they had, or can we say that we got it wrong because they actually sucked?
Well, let's see. We have them at the bottom of their division. We had them missing the playoffs. What else? So it's just
we'll say right in the middle because they were 4-13. We have them at 6. We'll say right in the middle.
It's only 2 wins off. Everything else, I'm going to say that's okay. Mm-hmm. We got that one right.
All right, next is the one we got completely wrong. Texans at 4-12-1. They won the division at 10-7. Yeah, so we got this one completely wrong.
Nobody saw this turnaround. DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud took a roster that didn't have a lot of big names on it. And they, I tell you what, Nico Collins and I know Tank was hurt there at the end. They turned some people's heads around with those wins. Titans, we got that one right. Mm-hmm. Worst in our division. Not very many wins. I mean, we may not have had the number exactly right, but I think we got the Titans right. And then the Raiders down at number 16. We had them 3 wins. They got more than that.
A lot more. I think we got
a lot more. We got that one wrong. Yeah, I agree. We got
that
wrong.
That is a yearly recap of our predictions from July/August.
So there you go. That is the way the predictions went. We got some right. I feel like we got a good number right. We had some in the middle, and we had some way wrong. Most notably, Tampa Bay, Raiders. Who was the other one? Texans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Steelers.
So, there you go. Let's talk about some of this Week 18 games before we move on to like the playoffs coming up. It was a big week. Let's talk about our homer teams first. I've already mentioned it. I got so dispirited Saturday night when the Colts lost to the Texans. I really feel like we could have and should have won that game. The good thing is, I think both DeMeco Ryans and Shane Steichen are good head coaches. They took teams that neither one looked like they were going to make much in the way of a push. And they were both in it till the very end. Unfortunately, somebody had to lose, and the Colts were that team. What is good about this? If I have to look for a silver lining, what's good about us losing is this. There's no controversy of should you start Gardner Minshew next year or Richardson. It's clear in everybody's mind. Richardson would have probably won us a couple more games. Richardson's our starter. And Gardner Minshew may be cheap enough that we can keep him as a good backup, because I do feel like he is, like, if you have to look at backups, I feel like he's the top echelon of a backup quarterback, especially under Shane Steichen, where he knows the system and knows him well. I think that would be great if we could keep him. I don't know if that'll happen. Depends on what happens with all the QB needy teams around. Jonathan Taylor is under contract. He had our almost 200 yards in our last game. That's great. And we're not going to have that controversy at the beginning of next year. We're going to have him back and healthy and ready to go. And we're going to have Anthony Richardson back and healthy and ready to go. And we just need to sign MPJ, Michael Pittman Jr. And we need to get us, Josh Downs has improved. We need to get us another wide receiver, another weapon in there. I don't think there's any way we could get Marvin Harrison Jr., but I would love it. Won't happen. But anyway, Colts, the game, disheartening to say the least. I was so upset at the end of that game because it was so winnable. And, the thing is, even though it was that one pass that maybe killed it all, all that will be remembered is that the Texans won the AFC South, not that they barely got in and that the Jags ended up losing and fumbling away the AFC South. All that's going to be remembered is the Texans won the South, and everybody will vaunt CJ Stroud super high and D'Amico Ryan super high. And anyway, that's week 18. It was disheartening. Josh?
Commanders, I didn't expect them to win, honestly. Played the Cowboys,
No.
playing for the division. I mean, you expected them to win, but I didn't.
No, I was just hoping for an upset because I hate
Yeah.
the Cowboys, and yeah, it didn't happen. I didn't really expect it, and I wasn't disappointed. I mean, you weren't disappointed. You got your second pick.
Yeah, we got our second overall pick. We locked in the second pick. Ron Rivera is gone. Sam Howell started off good but ended bad, so that kind of just put like the can or the lid on the overall is Sam Howell the future type stuff. So I'm hoping to see. I'm waiting to see what the new GM, new player personnel guy does, the new head coach does, or whatnot with the quarterback situation. But overall,
I think you'll have a new one.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited for the future.
You're going to be excited come draft time for sure, for sure. All right, Brandon. I'll say this: his was the only team this week that did make the playoffs. They only have our homers, and he probably would not be surprised. He probably would say, "Oh yeah, I saw it all year." I don't think he saw it all year. I think he was questioning if it would happen or not. But they did make it. His MVP was Matt LaFleur. He has told us the coaching that happened this year. I personally don't think they're going to go very far in the playoffs, but they made the playoffs. That's more than I can say for the Colts, or you can say for the Commanders. So
yeah,
really, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The Packers are in the playoffs. The Colts and the Commanders are out of the playoffs. That's nothing new for the last several years, but there they are. He would have said it's a good game. I didn't actually watch this game because it was one of those games on Sunday that I was mourning and did not watch. So it was sad. There was a great Bills-Dolphins game on that I didn't watch on Sunday. I am going to watch it. I'm going to go back and rewatch it, even though I know the outcome. But yeah, the Packers did win. Who did they beat?
Bears.
Yeah. I mean, not that unexpected. So we'll see how they do in the playoffs. Blake Harris Corner. Let's talk about some of these. The Titans upset and eliminate the Jaguars. That was totally. So this is, again, this speaks to Mike Vrabel. Their team had nothing to play for, and yet he had his guys ready and hungry, and they fired him anyway. It's just crazy. The Titans really should not have won that game. Jaguars should have. Bucks clinch the NFC South, and none of us saw that at the beginning of the year, and we may not be giving them enough credit even heading into the playoffs. We'll see. But that division was pretty bad. The NFC South was pretty bad. Like the AFC South, almost anybody could have won that division in the last week, depending on how the games fell out. Mm-hmm. And so Bucks were the ones who got it, just like the Houston Texans were the ones who got it. Seahawks' late heroic playoff aspirations come up short. Didn't quite make it. And crazily enough, Pete Carroll, not the coach after that game. Hard to believe. Saints go for a touchdown with less than a minute left. Upset the Falcons. Head coach Arthur Smith, gone. Out. Anything else to say about those games? What do you think about that Bills-Dolphins game?
Loved it. I'm friends with a Dolphins fan. He's probably watching at some point of the podcast, and he was pretty upset. But we were texting in our group chat, and he was, I don't know what point it was, but there was a point in the game where he was like, dude, if I was at your, because I've told you before, I have friends over Sunday Night Football, and that was the Sunday Night Football game, and he was like, no, I invited him over a couple times. He was like, no, I don't want you guys to see me in that state of mind, because he was, but he texted us after like the first touchdown happened or something like that. It was either A, after the interception that Tua threw, or B, after that the pass was bonked off the head and like it was bonked off the head and like kind of, I guess, floated into the air of Trent Sherfield's arms. He's like, Josh, if I was at your house, dude, that cat would be thrown across the room right now, dude. I'm so upset.
I totally get it when he says you guys wouldn't want to see me in this state that I'm in. That's the
Yeah,
way
I
I
know.
was after the Colts game. That's the way a true fan is. And my wife, she came in, she said, why do you root for the Colts? You could pick a team that wins. And I'm like, that is not what a fan does. That's not what a fan does, Blake Harris. That's not what a fan does. Blake Harris, Blake Faith, Brandon Harris. That's not what a fan does. A fan is a fan for their team, even when their team fumbles it and loses it, and you're so upset. And we hope for next year. So I understand him there. All right, we're going to play a little game here called Can These Teams Go the Distance? Can they? Oh, wait, I got to get to the right sound bank. That is not it. Can these teams? Will that be the song they're singing, or will they be singing this one? Is that where they're going into playoffs? We're going to play that game here with some of the teams that are in, well, with all the teams that are in the playoffs. And so I'm actually going to switch over to my my playoff game, like who's playing who. And Josh, you bring up a team, and we're each going to say whether we think whether they will be ones going the distance or whether they're heading into the danger zone.
We'll just go in order: AFC, NFC. Ravens #1 seed. Are they going the distance? Are they going on a highway to a danger zone?
I don't think there's any doubt there that both of us believe that the Ravens, and so I'm mostly picking on this first week of games because, if they lose this week, they're done. And if they make it past this week, they have a chance to go distance. I'm not saying which team I'm going to say wins the Super Bowl. So it's not like there's only going to be one of these teams that go the distance, but I think the Ravens are definitely winning this week. They are playing.
Nobody. They're the 1 seed.
They're the 1 seed, right? Like they're not even playing. So they're definitely winning this week, but I think they've got a distance in them. So
Next up is Bills. You can take it away, and I'll disagree or agree.
All right, here's mine. Because they're playing someone who is, and that would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just going to hit them both at once. I think the Bills are going the distance, and I think the Steelers are heading into the danger zone because the Steelers' probably greatest threat on defense is out.
Yep.
And I think that makes a huge difference. They're already with who? Mason Rudolph is their quarterback.
Yeah.
This week.
He's been playing well, though.
He's been playing well. He came in and did better than Pickett, right? But yeah, I think this is the week it ends. They did make it in, which I didn't even see him. And here's the thing. They needed all kinds of help, and they got every bit of help they needed. If the Colts would have made it, they would not be in because the Colts beat them. If the Jaguars didn't lose, they would not be in, but the Jaguars did lose and they're in. There was one other help game that they needed. And of course they needed to win their own. They did everything that had to happen fell into place, but I think they're headed to the danger zone. So who we got next?
7. So we'll just go matchup by matchup, I guess.
Yeah.
Chiefs and Dolphins.
Okay, let's. Which ones do you want to start with, Chiefs or Dolphins?
Chiefs. I'm going to be honest with you. You can hit them both at the same time because I don't believe either team is going the distance. I think they're all on a highway to a danger zone.
So Josh, this is for Josh. Josh says KC and Miami.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go just this week, and I'm going to say, this is a tough one, surprisingly, but I think the Chiefs have been there enough that their momentum of the past is going to carry them one game. But boy, they haven't looked great here at the end. And Miami has had some they looked so good early. And I love Mike McDaniels and Tyreek Hill. By the way, where did Tyreek Hill end up yards?
Oh, yeah.
I need to know because there was all this talk, but we haven't heard about it. So I'm assuming he did not break his goals and maybe didn't even get close.
1799, 1800.
Okay. Yeah. So he was trying to break the 2000.
Yeah. He's 8 years in the league and he already has 10,000 yards.
He'll go down as one of the greats. The cheetah. But I do feel like they had, was it Bradley Chubb? Wait,
He's
yeah,
out.
he's out. I feel like there's somebody else that was hurt there. They were so good earlier, and then they've had some trouble as of late. KC hasn't looked great, but I think KC might end up winning this game. I'm going to tell your Dolphins fan friend, your friend who's a Dolphins fan, I hope the Dolphins win because I hate Kansas City. I just don't like anybody about Kansas. Now, I like Travis Kelce on my fantasy team. Always been great. I'm sure Patrick Mahomes for somebody. I never end up getting him. But even that, let's just push that aside. I don't like KC. I don't like anything about KC. I would like them to lose, but I think they might end up winning this one. So I hope that Miami proves me wrong and wins it. So, all right, what's our next matchup?
We are on the NFC side of things now. 49ers are the 1 seed, so just, I think they go to the distance.
I can go the distance.
That's what Shanahan's singing right now. It's what CMC is singing right now. It's what Brock Purdy is singing right now. It's what Deebo Samuel's singing right now. They all believe that they're going to go the distance this year.
Next up, yeah, I agree. Next up, Cowboys at Packers, or Packers at Cowboys. I think this is an easy answer for both of us. Packers on the danger zone, Cowboys on the distance rise.
I think this week, Cowboys are going to beat the Packers.
Oh, yeah.
And I think next week, I hope we have a good matchup between the Lions and the Cowboys. And this time, the refs cannot change anything. And the Lions beat the Cowboys heartily. That's what I hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we both agree. Packers danger zone, Cowboys distance.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, Lions at Rams.
Wait. What did you say?
Cowboys distance
for this week. This week, but I think danger zone for both of them.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, okay. I'm looking at it from a Super Bowl picture.
Super Bowl picture. I think they're both danger zone. I know Dallas has been good, but for some reason I don't trust them in the playoffs. I think they're headed to the danger zone too. I just think that's next week.
All right, and then Lions at Rams. I think we know the answer.
I can go the distance.
Lions are going the distance because, dang it, this is their year.
And then Buccaneers at Eagles. I'm going to be surprised. I'm going to surprise everybody here.
Real quick,
Eagles.
Rams are headed to the danger zone, but they're better this year.
They're good.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was Eagles at Buccaneers, but I'm going to surprise everybody here. Eagles danger zone.
I don't think that's surprising the way you felt about them the last few weeks, but I will give you the sound bite. He says the Eagles are. And he thinks Tampa Bay is going to win. I, on the other hand, I think that's going to be flipped. I think the Eagles are going to win this. I think the Eagles.
I can go the distance.
And even if it's only this week, I think they beat the Buccaneers. Again, I know I doubted the Buccaneers really hard at the beginning, and Baker Mayfield did better, and they won the NFC South, but that was the NFC South. They barely, in that last week, they could have lost and been out of it, just like the Jaguars did in the AFC South, and New Orleans could have won it, or Atlanta could have won it in that last weekend. That doesn't speak of a team that is amazingly good, and I think that the Eagles beat them. But Josh says there's an upset coming, and we're just going to go ahead and do that. Let's talk about our locks and upsets for
I was
this
going to say, before we do that, we can do what if you wanted to. I mean, we kind of talked about it. We also had different opinions. You want to quickly go over this where's it at? Let me see it. This playoff predictor thing. Just predict the playoffs real quick. Final time.
Sure. Let's do it. I mean, It's going to be hard because there's just two of us.
Yeah.
And we disagree on
something. We got two guys we got nobody in the comments. We used to have somebody, but
guys in the we had some guys then they popped out. So they're not going to be able to break it for us. Oh, I hate going with the coin flip because it's so random, but
if it is the Packers, we disagree. I think we got one person in the comment, the viewer now. So anyway.
All right.
Bills
Whoever's in the comments, if we disagree, you get to break the tie by voting here. And we're going to call who we think will win each of these playoff games. Let's start at the top. Browns, Houston. I think the Browns are winning this one.
I think the Texans win. So
he says Texas. Viewer, what do you say?
I'll give it like 10 seconds or so until.
I'm not sure who our viewer is here. It's sad when you can say our viewer,
Yeah. I will
but we only have
share
one right
this
now.
tab instead. I guess we'll just go with the coin flip real quick. And so, as always, heads is home, tails is away.
Wait, so okay. I don't know which is home and which is away.
Heads H is heads, H for home, and tails is away. So heads is home.
So you just said the Texans, right? Yeah. So Josh and the coin think the Texans will win. Matthew's going to be the contrarian here and say that he said he thought the Browns would win with Joe Flacco and that defense all over CJ Stroud.
Next up, Dolphins at Chiefs. I'm just going to give my opinion. I think the Dolphins win.
I think the Chiefs win.
Oh, Nate said the Browns. So we're going back. I guess we can switch it now that he's here. He commented.
Attaboy, Nate. Browns.
Nate. All right, Nate. Chiefs are bet. Chiefs.
Here's the thing. They're not going to let Nico Collins get a 75-yard touchdown on the very first play of the game.
Okay.
Nothing against you, Juju Brents and the Colts. That was rough, though.
All right, we got Chiefs or Dolphins. We were 1-1. We said we need you again, Nate.
All right, Nate. Do you think it'll be the Dolphins or Kansas City in that game? You throw in who you think will.
Oh, we're waiting.
win.
You want to quickly and easily get out of the way? Is the Bills winning?
I think we both can say we think the Bills will win. So we're just going to go with that one while we're waiting to see what our tie break is.
Yeah, we'll just wait until he says something. You said Eagles and Buccaneers. I said Buccaneers. So
we got another tie.
So we'll wait. Lions. We both agree the Lions will win.
I say Lions.
And then the Packers and the Cowboys lose.
I say the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So we have a tie. We're at odds on Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, and on Miami, KC. So I guess go ahead and get your coin ready just in case maybe he's doing something else while he's watching. Oh, we got a KC. I'm in agreement. So maybe Nate, we're against you in this one, Josh.
Knowing Nate, I think he's going to say Philadelphia. He's been against me picking the Eagles as a dark horse for the last 5 weeks. So I think he's going to say Philadelphia.
I think he would be right if he did, because that's also what I say. I think you better just go ahead and click that Philadelphia because you know that's what it's going to be.
Oh, he said Bucks.
Oh,
really
he did that just to spite me. He says,
really surprised on that one.
Okay, well there you go. I disagree on the Bucks. Everything else is what I think. Josh disagrees on two of them, right?
Mm-hmm. I disagree on actually I only disagreed on these two.
You say Miami and yeah.
All right, Chiefs at Bills. I think the Bills.
Oh, we're going all the way through them here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought
we gotta give our final. You know, we have the finalized teams, so.
Yeah, but next week we could just vote for the next round.
I guess we could, but we could. I don't know. Up to you.
Let's wait. Right. Let's do one round at a time. Give us something next week, because I don't think we're going to have all these same coach firings next week. So we'll need something to talk about there. Yeah. So, okay. So what were we getting ready to do just before that?
A lock and upset.
The lock and upset.
Well, there's not enough.
We just did what we thought there, right? Okay. Well, what's your? I think our lock is probably the same. We both believe Pittsburgh is going to lose to the Bills.
I think the Steelers lose. The Bills over Steelers is my lock. I just think, like you said earlier, TJ Watt's out. My Mason Rudolph has been playing well, but he's not as good as Josh Allen. And the Bills have been very, very hot the last couple of weeks. I think the Bills win.
And I think your upset is Tampa Bay over Eagles.
That is right.
Which I don't agree. I don't think that's going to happen. My upset is, and I don't know if this is really an upset, but if you look at seeding, I think the Browns over Houston, because it's 5-4. I think that's the upset this week.
Yeah, I think I just think the Bucks over Eagles. I mean, the Eagles have been so bad so recently that maybe they get in check, maybe they don't. But I just see the Buccaneers having a better shot at beating the Eagles than any other team in this playoffs. I mean, like right now, like if the Eagles win, then they're hot, and then they, it's harder for the next divisional round team to beat them. So I think the Bucks have the best chance to beat them right now.
We shall see as this week comes to a finality. And there are going to be so many fun things to talk about next week. But that's all going to have to wait till next week, because we are going to end this week here. We want to thank you guys for joining us here on the Football Fandemic. Get ready for some coaching changes. Get ready for some fun playoff games, and get ready for a draft. That's all going to be super exciting. But next week, join us as we talk about more football here on